The legislature begins a 5-day break as of Friday because of the reaching the procedural halfway point of the session known as turnaround. It was a real busy week here in the legislature, both in the House and the Senate. I believe in the House we went through in over more than 50 bills on the House floor. Now, a lot of bills that didn't get out of committee were sent to exempt committees such as the Taxation Committee, and over in the Senate, the Ways and Means, and then the Appropriations Committee in the House as well. And I believe the Federal and State Affairs has a few bills sent to their committee. These are what's known as a blessed bill, and so they will be taken up again after our 5-day break. One of the reasons for this break, when we get to the turnaround point, is the fact that with all these bills being heard on the House floor, a lot of them being amended, they'll have to go through staff in both legislative research and the revisor's office to make sure the bills are written correctly and the amendments added. In addition to that, they will verify the fiscal notes on all that legislation. So it was it was a busy week. It was a very interesting week. One has to really pay attention on the House floor. So I think when we got out of here on Thursday, a lot of the legislators were a little bit drained from all the focus. Senate adjourned on Thursday around 4:15. House didn't get done until about 7:30 on Thursday evening. Some of the things that are coming up here is a report on Friday by Dr. Lori Taylor of Texas A&M University. She was commissioned to do a cost study on our K-12 education system here in the state of Kansas. I, for one, felt that we probably had some people right here in our region system who have been more than qualified to do that study. But she'll be given a report on that, and then her final report is due on March 15th, and everybody awaits to see what we're going to hear out of that report. One of the interesting things that happened this week, on a positive note, ending on a sad note, I guess you could say, was Medicaid expansion finally got a hearing in the Senate Health Committee. It passed out. This would provide the Medicaid expansion that we've been talking about all session long, and the drawdown of federal dollars that would bring about, plus providing health care for about 150,000 Kansans. What happened was it passed out of the committee in fine fashion, but the Senate leadership chose not to have that reach the Senate floor for full debate, and very disappointing. I'm not sure what the status of that bill is, but I'm sure that we've not heard the end of that. The other thing that I saw coming was the fact that we have several young people running for governor. So House Bill 2535 came out. It established some qualifications for candidates for governor, basically stating that they must be a registered voter. It also has a section in this bill that calls for the Attorney General to be a licensed attorney, being able to practice law. I can't imagine the last time we ever had a Attorney General that was not an attorney, but apparently that need to be put in statute. So the candidate requirement thing also extends over into Secretary of State, pretty much all statewide elected officials. And as I mentioned, I saw this coming once we realized we have several people under the voting age on the actual ballot for governor. By the way, on that, I forgot to mention on the Medicaid expansion, to show you how strong the support is for that, there was 140 proponents submitted testimony. That doesn't include all those that testified orally. Also, I might mention, being fair here, the opponents of the Medicaid expansion bill, of course, were the Americans for Prosperity, the Kansas Policy Institute, the Foundation for Government Accountability, and these groups have been pretty much opposed to that for quite some time. Nonetheless, Medicaid expansion did not get any hearing in the House Health Committee, but I'd like to see that bill come over from the Senate. Broadband issue has been big this session, and so through the efforts of House Bill 2701, a statewide broadband expansion task force was developed. And they're going to look at things like a funding source and infrastructure improvement, and review the whole broadband situation we have in our state. Transparency has been a big issue, and so we have a transparency group now is going to look a couple times a year at our incentives that we're offering businesses, and just to see that they're working, and also make sure there's public disclosure of any incentive that's offered to a business. So as I mentioned, we're going to be on a 5-day break, so we'll have a short week next week, but I'll come back and talk about a few of the pieces of legislation that passed. So we'll see you next week.